Hello, lovely people. Welcome to Let's Erase Domestic Violence show at Womenlines. Yes, friends, in Let's Erase Domestic Violence show, every time we are getting people who are leaders now, and they have so much to share with the whole globe, which can inspire various segments to be a better version of themselves. So we are having a leader from India, Ruchi Singh. Ruchi Singh is an international keynote speaker, communication mentor for leaders, international best-selling author, talk show host, and award-winning former HR professional. She has been a keynote speaker at the United Nations. Ruchi is also a special executive committee member, social work and entrepreneurship of the MSME Chamber of Commerce and Industry of India. One of the ways Ruchi adds value is by creating domestic violence awareness. She does this by sharing her story of survival. Ruchi says, whenever I share my story, I touch a life, create discussions, and change in the right direction. In 2020, Ruchi was awarded in the name of former President of India, Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, Award 2020 for her contribution towards the nation's development. Ruchi is also the recipient of the Powerhouse Global Award 2019. And the documentary which Ruchi is a part of won the ARFF Amsterdam Award. Other than Antarctica, Ruchi's work has touched lives on all the continents of our world. Awesome to know about you, Ruchi. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Charu. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for the brilliant work you are doing. You are doing so much towards raising awareness on this very critical topic.
Thank
So
you.
kudos to you and thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. So, Ruchi, I am so eager to know what are you doing at present, and just feel comfortable what you want to share, what thing you think is important for people to know about your past. Please go ahead.
All right. So let me handle the first question first. So
Yes.
currently, um, I am a keynote speaker, and what I'm excited about is I'm in the process of creating online courses because
Oh,
COVID made the world realize that almost a lot of work can be done from the comfort of their homes. It made life easy for me at least. So
very
I'm
true.
like, yes, why not? And you have to adapt yourself
Very
according
true.
to the opportunities
Very
being
true.
provided. So I am in the process of creating online courses based on leadership, communication, confidence, and things like that. And why I'm so excited is, see, till now I have been doing one-to-one mentoring with senior leaders
Oh,
in the corporate world, like VPs and APAC heads and all that. But this is something which is a critical leadership skill, and I want it to be accessible to a lot more people. So yes, that's what I'm doing. That's what is taking the maximum time.
time right now.
At the same time,
Fantastic.
whenever I get an opportunity to create awareness on domestic violence, I do
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
I do not share a lot of what I do on this because a lot of it is personal
Okay.
counseling and all that, for which I
Hmm.
do not charge.
Hmm.
But I do not share anything about it on social media because it is very sensitive to the
Definitely.
person.
Very true.
So that is something which I do, but that's my cause. That is not my work.
Correct.
That's the cause I have chosen for my life. It gives
Hmm.
meaning to my life.
Hmm.
Yes, and when I get free time, I have this. My passion is interviewing Indian Army generals. I
Amazing.
love, I love doing that. I'm honored to have interviewed generals who have handled General Mohinder Puri was my latest leader,
Okay.
who won us the Kargil war, and there's so much to
Amazing.
learn. Just more than strategy, so much to learn from them. So
Especially the
yes.
mindset. I am always inspired how they develop that mindset, that toughness, which helps them to keep going because we know that they are not in the right conditions. And if they can survive in those conditions, we are not facing much. So I'm sure you
No,
must
not
have
at
got
all.
amazing inspiration while interviewing.
It's a huge learning for me. And if you ever want to know, because this is one question I ask in all my interviews with them, and one question I consistently answer I get is, the training which they are provided, and they're
Mhm.
always told to lead from the front. Indian
Right.
army officers, they never say, okay, you do this. They say,
Mhm.
I'm doing this, follow me. This, if you ever get time to watch any of my army interviews,
Yeah.
this is one line which is consistent among all my
Wow.
interviewees. So yes,
So
so much to learn, so
do
much to
check
learn.
out, friends. I will highlight this. We'll share the YouTube link for Ruchi's channel, and I'm sure there are many videos we can learn amazingly from those videos. So yes, Ruchi, you have shared that there was an episode in your life, and then you have come out of it, and then you are doing amazingly now. So what services or resources of people helped you in that recovery? Can you share some insights which could help our audience who are facing such problems in life?
Yes. See, I was married earlier. Now I'm divorced,
Mhm.
and I went through domestic violence, and
Mhm.
that's an experience I would not want any human being to go through.
Mhm.
And that made me realize that there are so many people, millions all over the world who are going through this. And we may talk the big talk about world peace and all that,
Correct.
but if a human being is not at peace at their
At
homes,
home.
or
Very
they are
true.
not safe in the first unit which makes the
Very
society,
true.
then how is the society going to be safe? And when I struggled through it, I thought, with all my support system and
Mhm.
my education and my
Mhm.
earlier work experience in the corporate world,
Mhm.
if I have to go through it, then there's so many who do not have maybe the
Oh,
kind of advantages I have
education,
grown up with.
definitely.
So I, yes, and the family support, I have immense family support. I could not have done this without the support of my parents and my sister and my brother. And then I thought, if I also don't give a voice to that issue, because my story is important,
Mhm.
not because it is my story, it is important because it is part of a bigger story. It is a story which is happening throughout the world
Throughout
right
the
now
world.
as we are talking. Hundreds and thousands of people are going through it.
Very true.
And why should I wait that someone else should do something about it? I
Very true.
cannot change the world. I have no uh, illusions that I will change the world, but I can do my bit. And if that bit helps one person, two people, it's worth it. To me,
Very
at least,
true.
it's worth it. So that's how I started. In
Mhm.
fact, that's how I shifted my field. I was earlier in corporate HR. I was not in corporate HR. I was in corporate, and I was heading talent management. But I thought, let me do this.
Mhm.
So, and that's how I got an opportunity to give a talk at the United Nations,
Brilliant.
right, where I shared my story. And I'm happy to say that so many people, even
Mhm.
men, have reached
Mhm.
out to me,
Okay.
saying that your story helped. You have given me the courage to move ahead and take a divorce from a very abusive relationship, things like that. And that makes it worth it for me to share my story, because I don't feel happy talking about it, but at least
Definitely.
I know there's a reason why I'm talking about it.
Correct.
So yes, and you asked how,
What
what
helped you?
how.
Yeah.
Yes.
Resources, any people, or you can guide others who are currently facing, and if they will be watching our show, so yeah, it can be great help to them.
Oh yes, I would love to share. One thing is family support. It is
Mhm.
a huge. It is almost critical. I could have done what I'm doing
Mhm.
without the support, but it would
Correct.
have been so
Tough,
traumatic for me.
definitely.
It As it is, going through something like this is traumatic for the person. We may glorify it, survivors and all, but at that time the person is victim of a crime, because let's face it, it is crime in
It's
almost
just a
all
crime.
countries,
Very true.
right? And then on top of it, can you imagine, like, if you are mugged and you go back home, let's say, and your parents like, oh no, it's your fault, and they don't support you and throw you out of the house, what will
What will
you
you
do?
do?
And
Yeah.
this is
So
what
difficult.
happens with a lot of women who are facing this. When they reach out for help towards their family or close friends, a lot of them do not get that support, and that can be something which saves their life. It is actually a matter of life and death at times.
Very true.
So one is, the society cannot just leave it to the NGOs or the government.
Very
It is
strong
my
point. Very strong
responsibility.
point.
It is everyone's responsibility, and it is not a woman's issue. Because if when I suffered, it impacts my father, it impacts my brother, it impacts
Definitely.
all my men friends. They
Very true.
felt shocked and hurt. And
How it can happen.
yes, and even men go through it, although the number is low. And as
Yeah,
kids, a lot of boys go through it, and they are scarred for life. So it is a human problem, and everyone has to do their bit, even if it's a tiny bit. It is a bit. Secondly, um, the there is this thing called victim bashing, a terrible thing.
okay.
So a person is anyways facing violence, physical, psychological. It takes a toll.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of it, they also face another kind of violence that is called victim bashing. It is when you actually blame the victim for what they're going through.
Oh dear.
We face that
Mm.
a lot. The girl
There are
got
many
raped because she's
people.
wearing a
Yes.
mini dress. Seriously?
Yeah,
Seriously?
there are many people
Yeah. So
who
similar, I
love
have been
to do.
victim bashed. I have been victim bashed. Like when I reached out to some of my friends in Sydney, they came back to me with things like, "But he didn't really hurt you. Like my ex had put a knife to my throat." It is not a very easy experience to live with.
Definitely.
Only I know how much time it has taken me
Definitely.
to be where I am. And then when you call someone and share something so vulnerable, and it's a confusing time, and that person turns around and says, "Hey, but he didn't really hurt you, did he?" You feel shocked,
Yes.
and you again go back to your own
Shell
world
and
where you
yeah,
don't know. Yes. And saying
agree.
that, what did you do? Oh my God, what did you do? Can you cook better? I have been asked,
Oh
actually,
dear.
someone said, and these are, and mind you, they were all women, all working women, all doing fantastically well. Like they were
Educated.
in the
We
league
call
where,
that
yeah, they,
education was there.
yeah, and they were the kinds who had their own beamers. You know,
Hmm.
we think people who are very well off, doing very well, maybe they have a different mindset. And one of those ladies said, "Hey Ruchi, but if you make fresh chapatis at home, I don't like cooking, okay? Maybe things would be better." Can you imagine? So that is victim bashing. So
Which
this
has
is
to
what
be raised.
which has to
Definitely.
stop.
Has to stop.
And other things one was immense family support. When I finally told them after years, they were shocked, and they like, I
Helped
wish
you
I
out.
had done that earlier.
Hmm.
Secondly was spirituality.
Okay.
Uh,
We say
I have
nowadays
been
it's a spiritual health. There is
oh yeah.
term called like we have mental health, physical health, and somewhere I'm reading the spiritual health, and it's just coming so often nowadays that yeah, it has to be taken care of, and I'm sure it must have
Yeah.
helped you.
If I did not have spirituality, I would not have maybe survived. At least I would be a mental wreck. I would have mental health issues. And
Definitely.
when I was going through it, but then I have been practicing meditation for more than a decade, practicing pranayama. I'm trained in
Okay.
that. So
Okay.
when I was going through that time, I was taking care of, it was not easy, but at the same time, I was ensuring that I was at least breathing, breath, pranayama,
Be aware of
conscious
your
breathing,
yeah routine.
uh, making sure that I was consciously taking care of my mental health. And that helped me. That helped me, and it has helped me even now. Uh,
But this
Forgiving
is
my
a
ex.
very strong point. I must say, people have to be very mindful about mental health, and they have to take responsibility by themselves.
Oh, yes, yes. It's a very important word which you said, responsibility. Because for 5 years I was going through it, and one fine day I said, I have to take responsibility for my life. And when I say that, what I mean is, I'm not responsible for his bad behavior or his activities. No, 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 not that. I am responsible for my response to it.
Correct. Very good
So,
attitude.
yeah, so, but I did not take it immediately. It is a very psychologically confusing time, Charu. Like, uh, it is very confusing. It takes a lot of time, sometimes, at least in my case, to admit that, oh my God, I'm getting abused. I'm actually a victim here. Because we don't, you don't,
Correct.
you have an image about yourself, and that image never, at least for me, it was never that, oh, I'm a victim. I'm like, I'm the strong one. He's the one who's going through something, and I have to be the strong one. But finally, uh, you know,
You realize and you
uh,
came out of it. And
actually, a cop made me realize it. So they had
is
come to
it?
our place in Sydney,
Okay.
and they asked me something, and I said, no, no, he didn't do much. He just sat on me and shook me and threw drink on my face, and they looked at each other and they almost had pity in their eyes. I can never forget that. And then they said, ma'am, that's assault.
And that must have
So,
hit you that moment.
yes, that was like, I knew it. I just didn't want to admit it
Accept
because
it.
I have been successful in my career. I am a confident person, very loved as a daughter, very loved as a sister, and like, I have good friends. But that was like, so those cops, those lady cops, when they said it, I was like, yes, that's true. And then I had to, and then a lot of things, the knife incident and all. So yes, so
You
taking
realized and then you
responsibility,
decided that you will be out of it.
yeah,
And now
yes,
we are
taking
having
responsibility.
Ruchi as a leader, as a coach. And I am so eager to know now about your role as a coach. Tell me how, when, and what guided you to become a coach and more insights about it.
Okay, so this was never planned. When I came out of my relationship, I was
Hmm.
slightly crazy, okay? In the sense, I used to keep almost like chanting like a mantra. I have to make my life count. There has to be a meaning to my life. And it was actually almost crazy. And my parents got very worried, but they let me be. And I was like, no, I have to make my life count. This is a second chance at life. And then I could have joined back, right? In
In HR, right? As
HR.
HR, yeah, you
Yes,
were
yes.
professionally
But, and
qualified.
I, yes, and I was doing very well. And luckily, I have very good relationship with my ex-boss and all that. I'm still in touch, wonderful human being. So they had also said, hey, when they came to know, they reached out and all. But I was like, no, I have to make my life count. Something. Then I said, okay, I'll talk about this.
Okay,
So I that is how my this career started. So I didn't say, okay, now let me become an international keynote speaker. No, I was like, I have to talk about this. I'll be damned if I go through this and I do not give a purpose. There has to be a purpose behind what I went through. So
me
my
too.
purpose, I was like, I will create awareness on it and I will share my story. And that's how I started. And when I talked about it for the first time, the response was so tremendous that I was shocked. It was a 500 strong crowd, and
Wow.
people were waiting for me outside. And the questions like, I'm going through it, my friend is going through it, or people had written, notes where anonymously they also took questions like, I'm going through it. And so, thank you for sharing it. You've given me hope, things like that. So, that is how this career started. Okay. And then I was getting invited to give talks on other topics like, corporates, they don't just want you to call you for domestic violence. They limit it
Definitely.
to just March. Rest of the year, it does not happen that
Correct.
much.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It
So,
takes time to build up.
yes. So, but then I was getting invited for various topics like resilience, how to handle failure, and stuff like that. And then one or two people started reaching out. The first people who reached out to me was a couple, and they're like, would you be our mentor? And I was like, no, no, I'm not into relationship
Mentorship.
counseling. Okay. And they're like, no, we are entrepreneurs, we have set up everything, we are both IT professionals working, we are just scared of leaving our jobs and taking that first step. So will you be
Okay.
a mentor because you have changed your life entirely? You started something from scratch with no background in this.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to help us with that courage bit. So I was
Beautiful.
like, okay. So I did not think of it. It was all organic. So I was like,
You were
hmm.
guided. You were guided that, okay, this
Yes.
is
So
your
I was
path. You have to take the steps one ladder
like,
at a time, and then it builds up.
yes, so that is how it started, and people kept coming to me for things like that. And my background in HR, I was heading talent management for Aviva Offshore, right? So
Okay.
it was a huge role where, like, I think my last role had 8 people reporting into me with 10,000 FT. Like, that was the kind of thing. I've handled transition of 5 locations, so I had leadership experience.
Mm-hmm.
I have managed people. I'm an MBA, so all that was there. But I had never thought about this, so that added, because you just because you've gone through something uh, doesn't mean you can also transfer that knowledge to someone. So all the other part, the education and my work experience, added to it. So
And
yes,
now
that's
you
how
are
it started.
with us as a leader, as a coach. So tell me something special about your coaching, which people can understand and they can reach out to you, how your coaching can help them.
All right. So for me, I am focused, as of now, I'm
Mhm.
focused on leadership communication. And
Okay,
communication is a leadership skill. It is a critical leadership
definitely.
skill,
I strongly agree
right?
with it.
Yes, and there's a whole lot of data. In fact, LinkedIn, there was some survey last year or something, and that was in the top 5 needed skills, and a whole
Skills.
lot of data behind it, and whole lot of leaders like Indra Nui and everyone
Yes,
has
we are having.
validated that. And for me, it is personal. The very fact that you have taken out time to invite me is because of my communication skills. And when I
Definitely.
say communication skills, it's not just speaking fluently, not that. It is about expressing what needs to be expressed in the most impactful manner.
Awesome. Very well worded.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. And I help people do that. And because at the end of the day, this world right now, we moved from the industrial phase and all that. Right now the world is about ideas, and
Correct.
you may have the best idea in the world. Like, you may have a brilliant product, but like a iPhone, but you still need, or an iPod, and you still need a Steve Jobs to say 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, and not to confuse a non-techie like me with all those jargons.
Jargons.
And yeah, so and there is a personal connection with it. The whole life, the very fact that I could gain back the confidence
Mm-hmm.
and share my story with the world is largely due to the fact that I could put that my story is not unique, right? But it is important, like I mentioned earlier, and it is also a skill set to share it in a way that others are interested enough to hear it. I can't presume that just because domestic violence is a big issue and I have gone through it, everyone has to be interested in it. No, it is my job to make you get
Interested.
interested in this topic enough to do something about it. So, communication is a very personal thing for me. And this is what I help people who come to me. And surprisingly, nobody has come to me till now said, "Can you train me how to create awareness on domestic violence?" They come to me, like, my clients have been corporate people,
Okay.
and they come to me for crisis communication and other
Wow.
stuff, and that's
Fantastic.
important.
Fantastic. So, friends, take a note here. We are having a coach who can really help you to communicate the best way, which can help you to achieve your dreams in life. Awesome share, Ruchi. So my last question. Please share some message for Womenlines audience.
Hmm. Okay. So I share my favorite quote.
Okay.
All right, and it's in Hindi.
Okay.
Urdu, but I'll translate
Sure.
it in English also. It's
Mhm.
like खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना
Wow.
कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है, which means make yourself so strong that before deciding your fate, even God asks you, tell me what is it that you want.
Beautiful. It's so
And
meaningful. Definitely. It's so meaningful and it can really help people to understand the importance, giving
yeah,
themselves importance. So yes,
yes.
that's
And
wonderful share.
yeah, and I would like to end this with saying something which I said in my UN speech also. It's like all of us have the power to change our life. But the question is, do we have the courage?
Good question.
Yes. And if you have the courage, you can be your own destiny creator.
Amazing words. I'm sure people are going to be inspired by your words amazingly, Ruchi. Thank you so much for your time and awesome sharing. I wish you all the best for your bright future. Thank you so much for coming to our show. Take care.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. And I hope my interview helps someone who's going through a
Definitely.
difficult time.
Definitely. Thank you.